Hi, I'm Scotty Horey, solo percussionist, drummer, and teacher from the United States, and instructor at the Music School of Delaware. Welcome to my new lecture series, Tools for the Journey. This lecture series is available on my YouTube channel free of charge for a limited time. Now, many of you are used to me doing topics on music education, health and wellness, marimba technique, drum set technique, and all of that. But we're going to take a bigger step back over the next few weeks. And these lectures are on fundamental educational topics to help you build your knowledge set from the ground up for everyone, not just musicians. We're going to talk about things like education, philosophy, science, health and wellness, sociology and psychology, just to name a few. When observing the present social climate and dynamic among friends, family, students, professional colleagues, and communities online as well, especially in the United States, and to a certain extent around the world, I've become increasingly concerned whether each one of us individuals really has all the best tools we need inside to adequately face the challenges of the present day with competency, integrity, stability, concentration, level-headedness, and courage. The problems to which I'm referring to, just to name a few, would be the COVID-19 pandemic, environmentalism, the economic state of the world, inequality and the ongoing discussion on race and gender, humanitarianism, and the implementation of technology into our day-to-day lives. And also how to continue with music education and music performance, artistic performance of any kind. That's just to name a few. There's many challenges and problems that demand our immediate attention in the changing landscape of the present day, the rapidly changing landscape of the present day. And they all ask us to be our best, physically, mentally, and even emotionally and spiritually, in order to step forward. Every little action and word you speak counts, and it does make a difference, and it influences the people and community around you. And it's really going to shape what the future looks like. So you have a part in this. Again, whether or not you're a musician or part of my usual audience, or whether or not you have a college degree. So for this series, I want to walk you through these basic topics I mentioned above that have served the basis for human thought and inquiry for hundreds and in some cases thousands of years. And I'm going to attempt to do so in a way that's very clear, only covering the basics of any one given discipline, and in a manner that's applicable and relevant to the conditions of the present day. And you shouldn't for a moment think that forming an argument, opinion, or position, or a understanding of any of these large topics in the present day is easy. There's a huge amount of diversity of opinion out there now about some things, including basic things like education and science. It takes effort, work, discourse, research, and investigation in order to get there. These tools are not my ideas. They are tried and true academic and professional disciplines that have stood the test of time and seen the nourishment of generations for hundreds and thousands of years throughout literally almost every culture in human history. I'm simply putting them on the table for you as an educator in hopes that you'll investigate them further and apply them to your own development. Again, no matter where you're at, if you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you just work a normal 9-to-5 job, whatever. We're all a part of our global community, and we all need to use our body, mind, heart, spirit, and culture to the best of its potential. The other thing, too, that's very important for you to understand is that it's not my goal here to share my personal opinions about any of the big topics mentioned above: politics, social issues, ethics, spirituality, religion. And I won't be doing so. We all need tools and a basis for how we think, to solve problems, how we debate, form conclusions, and build habits. And in some cases, build new habits. And what I'm attempting to do here as best I can in this new lecture series is to just give you the tools to do so for yourself. And I don't have a big, ingenious scale, a large scale solution to any of these problems that I mentioned above and the challenges of the present day. We just all need to think about how we can best contribute. And it might be different from one person to next, how any given one person might contribute. I'm a teacher and an educator and a mentor. I teach people how to use their brains better and how to think better and to access all the best resources and practices for you to be able to do so. So that's largely what I'm trying to do in this lecture series. I'm taking a big step back, and we're just not going to talk about music over the next few weeks. And I do feel also that it's part of my responsibility as a teacher and educator to step up in this very unprecedented, challenging time in all of human history and offer education on some of these broader disciplines outside of music. Of course, the important issue of credentials needs to be brought up here. I do hold a BA, Bachelor's of Arts, a master's degree, and a doctoral degree from a Big Ten university, that being University of Minnesota. During my doctoral studies, I also took courses and collaborated with members of outside of music fields, psychology, in my case it's psychology, kinesiology, cognitive science, and the Center for Spirituality and Healing to help form my present teaching practices. And I believe it's part of my responsibility to offer up some of these things on more of a general educational standpoint for you all. The other thing too is many of you are familiar with my holistic awareness philosophy, which deals with mindfulness and uses the body, mind, heart, spirit, culture model. And I'd like to think of this series as an expansion of that. The areas of health, wellness, education, sciences, psychology, sociology, philosophy, things I mentioned above, these disciplines are important, what they are and how to use them and apply them to your everyday thought process and decisions. That's what we're going to do here, and we're really going to get into the weeds with that as we make our way through each episode. So as such, I've given much deliberation and thought about which topics I strongly felt were of the most urgent importance for this series, especially considering the observations I've made just as a global citizen and as a professional educator in the past 5 or 6 years or so. I'm going to present to you 8 lectures total, and each have been supplemented with numerous credible references from literature, textbooks, peer-reviewed articles, professional journals, some of which include empirical data, some of which include qualitative and quantitative data. So it's very important to know that these aren't just things I sort of wrote creatively. I invested a lot of time to research the best sources I could think of using my education as a postdoc and as a professional educator and as a college educator to give you what I think is the best overall outline of these big disciplines to kind of set a good foundation for you. So the 8 lectures are going to be as follows. Number 1, what is education? We're going to explore that question. Number 2, what is philosophy? We're going to break down all the important subsets of discipline of philosophy. Number 3, what is science? What is science? And what do basic research skills look like? Number 4 is basic writing and communication skills, very important topic. So we're going to talk about everything from writing, descriptive writing to persuasive writing, scientific writing, but also we're going to talk about things like writing emails and text messages and social media comments and being a good conversationalist. Number 5 is understanding how the nervous system works. And of course, there's a nice poster right behind me about that. Knowing a little more firsthand scientifically about how our brain works, how our nervous system works, how our autonomic tone works, and how all these biological things really do shape our thoughts, behavior, emotions, and consequently our whole life. So we're going to talk about the nervous system. And in that lecture, we're also going to touch on things like meditation, various disciplines of meditation and yoga and physical exercise and diet, and how those things also affect us biologically, especially the brain and the nervous system. Number 6 is tools for understanding social issues. Now, that's not going to be a lecture about various personal opinions about social issues. They're going to be tools, things like psychometrics and qualitative research techniques and looking at sociological data to better understand social issues. Number 7 is going to be basic psychology points for the present day. So understanding a bit from that discipline and how we can, again, apply it to our lives in a way that's constructive. Number 8 is, I would say actually, come to find out after writing them, this turned out to be, I think, one of the most important lectures, is number 8, which I've entitled Stimulus, Concentration, and Cognitive Skills in the Present Day. And we're going to talk a lot about fragmented attention and sustained concentration and things like that, which some people will argue is sort of the new gold. Probably the most valuable thing that any one of us could have is the ability to focus our attention. And with that said, I'm not an expert by credential directly in any of these alternative disciplines being discussed. My primary area of expertise, of course, is music. But with that said, possessing a doctorate, working together with professionals in all these fields, and over 15 years of teaching in diverse settings around the world, I'm confident in my ability to research and present this basic information for you. Each lecture is going to contain suggestions and referrals to resources and individuals that you should pursue should you have more questions or needs in any of those given topics. That likely will go outside of my own expertise. I also welcome credible, constructive criticism and dialogue, especially from experts in the extraneous fields. If you want to clarify a point I've made, continue a discussion, or even challenge one of the points that I'm making as we go along with each episode, this could potentially be very constructive to the mission statement I have for this project. So, for example, if you're a PhD in psychology and you think that something I said in lecture number 7 maybe wasn't very clear, by all means comment, share, etc., etc. So again, it's not my goal here to share my opinions or progressive new ways of thinking. It's to review some of the most fundamental and most important and oldest academic disciplines in human history that have served as the foundation for human thought and problem solving, and developing general cognitive ability, which we know now is one of the primary markers in health and wellness, success, employment, successful relationships, longevity, and staying out of crime and poverty. Body and brain work, psychology, sociology, scientific method, writing, communication work, how to look for information. These are things we're going to be talking about. Think of me like a boring textbook. That's my goal for this series, is to be the boring textbook and reviewing these basics for you. The other thing is this program is not a commercial product, so I have no other incentive but to share this information with you in hopes you'll disseminate it. And it's going to be available on my YouTube channel free of charge for a limited time. So I'd like to finish this introduction with a quote from the Dalai Lama, which I believe is very wise and very applicable to my mission statement here for this lecture series. Before finding peace in the world, we must first find peace within ourselves. Thank you everyone for checking out this series. Let's go ahead and get started with episode number 1. And remember, body, mind, heart, spirit, and culture always work together. Thanks so much.